Hey guys, welcome to another Complete Developer Raw, a live show with Will and BJ. How you guys doing? Now you can see us. Uh, I am still working on. There's my camera. Working on that Guinness I bought last week.
Working on it.
Working on it. Yeah, I mean, I bought a 4 pack. So,
Yeah. I
uh,
guess, technically you're using force to move something across a distance. So
really, a physics joke this
why
early in
not?
the evening? Oh man, it's gonna be a long night. All right, guys. I've had some really cool stuff going on. I found my old Minolta camera, and for those of you younger audience members, listeners, this was back before they had digital. Actually, this was my dad's camera from I think the '70s. So this camera is actually older than Will and myself. So yeah, it's pretty old. It's still I think it still takes good photos. I found some film from a few years back of and just got it developed, so I'm gonna go through those photos soon. And it's actually I got them back. They're pictures of my sister playing soccer. So uh, but yeah, so I'm gonna go, show those to her next time I see her and whatnot. But it's pretty cool. I need to get it cleaned or something. I'm not really sure. I took a couple of photos, finishing up a roll, and yeah, they did not turn out very well at all. So I need to figure that out. Um, in other news, I canceled Pluralsight. Nothing against Pluralsight at all. I just don't have time to watch any training videos. I mean, I'm in school, and if I'm watching a video, it's going to be a school related video. So I got to thinking about it, and I have not done any videos since well, basically since I started back to school. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to cancel Pluralsight, and then I'll pick it back up in the summer. And do some tutorials then. And then when school starts back, I'll cancel it again. And that way I'm not paying for something I'm not using, basically. Speaking of school, next week is my midterm. And y'all, it's been a while since I've taken a test. Um, and so I'm a little bit nervous about this. Last semester I didn't have any tests. So I don't know, but we'll see. Will, what's going on with you?
Man, I'm working a lot. There's just a lot going on at the day job. We've got a release that I think shipped today, maybe. Actually, I probably ought to at some point check and see if that actually happened. Um, and we've had like the last minute bugs for that. I'm on the team for a new product and scrambling around doing stuff on that, fixing bugs on old stuff. I'm just all over the place. So the day job is getting pretty stressful, and I'm also working on a book, right?
Yeah,
And
I don't know. You
this
tell
one,
me. Asking me if it's right.
yeah. So that's a lot of writing,
Oh yeah.
and so yeah, I come home and I write after work,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been pretty much. I don't really do a whole lot that's fun right now. Let's put it that way. So I don't really have any major updates at the moment. I'm hoping that I will have the book done by the end of next month. On time and under budget. So, and I'm looking forward to a trip
You have a
pretty
budget?
soon too. Yeah, zero. I would like it to make money and not cost me any money. Uh,
All right,
yeah, I'm
that's
so used
fair.
to putting those two phrases together. It's like, yeah, there's not a budget. Like there's just
Okay, that's completely fair.
I'm inconveniencing the crap out of some electrons though. So
Nice, nice. So, podcast update. We've got water bottles on the way, guys. I took some out last week and shipped them. I also got some emails and some messages on various social media from a couple of different people. If I missed you and you've messaged me since then, I'm going to be shipping some more out soon. If you've heard your name and you haven't gotten a water bottle, shoot us an email at neckbeards@completedeveloperpodcast.com so that I can get that out. We need your name and address, basically. Also, next week, we will not be having a live show. Like I said, I'll be taking my midterm, and that will be down in Chattanooga right around the time that we normally do the live show. Well, I should say I'll be driving back around the time we normally do the live show. So I have to like calculate because it's, time zone change. But yeah, I have to go down there and take it live. So I have to take my midterm live, so there's not a live show. Yeah, that makes sense. We will be probably recording next week, just a little bit later in the evening, and so we're not going to keep you guys up and stay up too late ourselves. So let's see, a couple of comments here on Facebook. Glenn Miller, did you know it is National Chili Day? I had heard that was coming up. I wasn't sure, but realistically, guys, like, there's a national holiday for everything now, isn't there? Like, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong
Well,
on this?
if not, there should be like a national everything day.
Yeah.
Like just, like the Tomb of the Unknown celebrated thing.
I guess, yeah. See, Josh Kilgore is on. I guess it just tells me when my friends join because I didn't see when other people joined. So, hey, Josh. John Wells says, I did the same thing, but taking summer classes. Oh, for Pluralsight? Yeah, it makes good sense. And I just kind of got to looking at my budget, and I try to look at it every month. And I was like, I'm paying for this, but I'm not using it. And so there's no point in continuing to pay for something that I'm not using, especially when I'm going to be using it later. So I'm like, all right, I can cancel now and then use it again later. So
I just sent you a message. Unfortunately, it's sort of critical, but
yeah, I see. All right, well,
notice how like all the emails and text messages we ever get happen when we're on live.
That's very true. So I suppose week before last, we had a guest on, and we had some technical issues that we didn't find out about until I started editing the episode. And we were going to publish that episode today, but didn't get to because we needed to re-record. And so we got everything scheduled and stuff. And now our guest said that her internet is down and she doesn't want to, like, if it comes back up, she's concerned that it'll go away. And so she doesn't want to like halfway record something and then lose it. And, just, I understand and appreciate that. I really do. Cause not everybody would think about, that kind of stuff for us. So we will eventually have her on the show. She's got some great material and some stuff you guys are absolutely going to love. And we're even going to do some really neat stuff coming up working with her. But we got to get this episode recorded first.
Yeah, and I just don't know how.
Yeah, so it'll be. Well, we can't do it next week because it'll be too late. But week after next, I guess, is when we'll have to do that. So
yeah,
guys, welcome to an impromptu planning session. These are always
fun. For real. So I guess it's good that I wrote an episode and we had it as a backup, huh?
Yeah, it really is.
Which is totally not what I intended when I did it. I was just trying to get ahead. But
yeah, no. Well, I mean, works. there have been times where I have shown up over at your house and you thought I wrote the episode and I thought you wrote the episode and we didn't have anything. And so we just sat there and wrote one together in like 20 minutes and then recorded it.
That was early on though. I don't think we could do that with actual quality standards.
Oh, we could. Well, I don't know about standards, but we could publish or we could create something decent. It'd be fun. Yeah. There'd be a lot of laughter. But yeah,
the liquor cabinet would be a little emptier, it's.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not.
It would anyway, realistically.
So, yeah. Uh, anyways, so let's move on into our questions.
Okay. The first one: how do web developers feel when others criticize their work for not being real software engineering? I guess I can answer this. They don't really give a crap at all. You know, at the end of the day, the web is a software engineering platform, and you deal with all kinds of fun problems that you don't get to deal with in a lot of the real software engineering environments. You have security, you have network latency, you have a bunch of different clients, you have a wide array of different standards. You got all kinds of stuff going on. You've got markup languages that aren't really complete for what you want to do. You know, for like, I don't know, HTML and CSS, for instance, you're kind of hammering a square peg into a round hole, which is the point of computing anyway. Um, so they're doing real software development, and at the end of the day, they get a nice paycheck and frankly don't care. That's what I would think.
Okay. I'm moving to the next one then. Why is there an experienced programmer shortage? If you guys notice, there's an N missing in that. Obviously, I skimmed it when I was reading it and didn't catch the typo. Um, Not my typo, by the way. I copy and pasted that, so there you go. So, experienced programmer shortage. Learning to code, it's a lot of fun and not terribly difficult. It's easy to learn coding, and early on, it's pretty straightforward. Especially when you've got people kind of looking over your shoulder and guiding you and hiding you from the difficult things, which happens to a lot of people very early in their career. The other thing is, once you learn to code, there's a lot of other areas in IT that you can work in that aren't coding. So like we have some friends that went to coding boot camps, um, learning to code so that they could go out and be project managers or do other things in the realm, but they didn't really want to be heavy coders.
Yeah.
Um, Also, as you get better, you tend to get moved up into management, and so you have fewer people there because of that. Uh, and advanced coding is difficult and kind of, I guess, takes a certain type of person. A lot of people end up leaving the field after about 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. I remember, and this has been probably 10 years or more ago, but there was a stat that came out that it was like 50% attrition by the 5 year mark.
Mm-hmm.
And it is because of that. It's also like, um, it's sort of like learning a human language, right? Like there's a certain number of people that are going to take 2 years of Spanish in high school, right? And there's a certain, percentage of people that are going to order in Spanish at the Mexican restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
There's not very many that are going to get on TV in Mexico City and tell a joke, right? Like there's just
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
Pareto curve there, and
Mm-hmm.
it's true on development.
That makes perfect sense. All right, moving on to question three.
Okay, so how do you handle a poor performant developer in the team? That could be management, lead, coworker. I guess you're saying how do you handle them from a management perspective, or if they are the manager?
Um, so the question was, how do you handle a poorly performing developer, basically? And my comment in there is, how do you handle it if you're the manager, if you're the lead, or if you're the coworker?
Yeah, I think the trick to all of these is, first of all, you don't react,
Mm-hmm.
right? You figure out what's actually going on. I've had coworkers who kind of bottomed out on, just on what they were actually producing at work, and it looked like they just lost all motivation. And then you find out that, well, they found out their father has cancer.
Mm.
Like it's something that's kind of reasonable.
Yeah.
or they may be having other stuff going on. You never know. The other thing you need to be doing is you need to be actually trying to help people, try to mentor them. A lot of people feel like they can't ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to offer it to them and try to help them out. A lot of times that will resolve it. Beyond that, if you're a coworker or a lead, in other words, you can't fire this person, you've got to contain the damage. So when you plan your stuff, you have to assume that they are not going to deliver and figure out what you're going to do in that case. Now, if you are actual management, this is the point where you start putting somebody on a performance improvement plan, and you start the proceedings so that if this continues long enough, you have cause to terminate them from employment, not like terminate them. You probably have that too, but you just it's not recognized in a state law sort of sense.
Hasta la vista, baby. Wait, terminate them. No.
Yeah.
Bad joke. Okay.
You go back in time and like close their editor when they were writing HTML in 1995.
Oh.
And now they're a gym teacher. It's problem solved.
Right. All right. So we have another question from Lucas on Facebook. Hi guys, I have my first interview. Congratulations. That's really awesome.
Nice.
Front end position next week. Any advice? So front end position.
The first thing is do you know where you're interviewing, and do you know all about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you should be doing some market research on that company. Look at, if you're doing web development for them, they probably have a website that's publicly visible. So that'll have a lot of stuff. It'll show you kind of what the company's weaknesses are potentially, and how you could help. It'll also show how they're positioning themselves in the market, and maybe even a little bit of what they're looking for that they're not really telling you.
Yeah. Also, find out if you can, what technologies they're using. So, if they're an Angular shop and, they're doing Angular 4, 5, 6, I think is out now. It's been a while since I've been in the Angular community. But if they're doing that, then go and do some research. I mean, just simply Googling interview questions can give you a lot of the basic things they're going to ask, especially early on. Also, don't be afraid to say, I don't know. The trick here is you don't want to say that too much. Like, as an entry-level junior developer, you're not expected to know everything. I don't remember the exact question, but when I was interviewing before I had the job I have now, do you remember when I interviewed at the place across the street from you?
Yeah.
So I interviewed there, and they gave me 3 pages. One had 4 questions on SQL, one had 4 on C#, and one had 4 on JavaScript. And like, there was 3 of the 4 questions were, one was easy, the other 2 were kind of mid-range, and one was really hard. The C# question I got, the hard one I got. The SQL one, I kind of had an idea, and I put what I thought was right, and even said, I think this is right, but I could look it up. But the JavaScript question, I had no clue. And they left me alone in the room. I literally could have looked it up on my phone, but instead I wrote, the temptation to look this up on my phone is strong, but my sense of ethics is stronger. I'll look it up when I get home. And so 2 senior devs come in, and they're reading it, and the front-end developer, he's looking at the C# one. It was the back-end developer that was looking at the JavaScript one. I don't know why I guess that's just the ones they picked up. And he gets to it, and he just starts laughing. He's like, you got to read this. The other guy's like, tell me what it says. He's like, no, you actually have to read this. And then he looks at me. He's like, yeah, he wrote that question. I had to look up the answer. some obscure thing. So yeah, you're gonna get some questions that that they're asking specifically to find out how you respond to not knowing something. I mean, will you make something up, or will you just say, "Hey, I don't know this. I can look it up." Or one thing that I've noticed, and I like too, is when I ask a question and someone maybe doesn't know the exact answer, but they try to talk themselves into it. So they'll talk about it, and you see a little bit of their thought process when they're like, all right, well, I know that relates to this functionality. So I think that has something to do with this, and this is what you're talking about, but I can look it up and find out more.
Yep.
And one thing that I do is second round when we bring them back in, whatever question they missed, I asked them again because I want to know if they actually did look it up. So, all right, guys. So let's see. One more question here. Volodymyr. Hi, guys. How do you manage your time? Do you use Pomodoro? For me, it is not working. It is a lot easier to work without constraint breaks. Thanks.
Yeah, I found the same thing when I've tried the Pomodoro. I just do a lot better, you know, trying to set up the environment so that I can work well. So, I'll get some good music going. I'll, lock the door, where I can't be interrupted. I'll get all my windows and stuff set up and then just go.
Mhm.
And I go until I stop going. And that works a lot better for me. I know people that swear by the Pomodoro technique. John Sonmez, for instance, he uses it. It works real well for him.
It's a
I just,
personality thing.
yeah,
It really is. You and I are the type that when we dig deep into something, we go
we don't come
into it.
out.
Yeah. And the Pomodoro technique is basically designed for people who don't do that, to help them focus for a specific set of time so that they know it's coming to an end. I use the Pomodoro technique when I'm exercising because I hate going to the gym. I love going out hiking and stuff like that, but I just hate getting on a treadmill at the gym. But
Yeah.
if I know I'm going to be on there for 35 minutes, then I can do it. I'm like, all right, yeah, I can work out for 35 minutes. Usually I'll watch a video or something. Most of our school videos are 15-minute long, so I'll do 2 of those. And then, set up and other time kind of wraps around it. But yeah, there's that. Sometimes when I'm writing episodes, I use the Pomodoro technique because I'm just like, I'm not motivated, but I got to get this done. And I've got this idea, but I just, it hasn't come to fruition. And other times I'll get rolling and just go.
Yeah. And I do think that the Pomodoro, if I remember correctly, they do kind of make an allowance for, hey, like if you're on a roll and you don't want to stop, this doesn't force you to stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it's one little flashing thing on your screen. And that, like,
Again,
I'm not having that. Yeah.
If you're having trouble staying focused or staying on task, this is a really great technique. If that's not your problem, then this is not that's not the technique for you. Honestly, what I do is I set out a list of tasks to get done. And then I just check them off as I go down them. And I stop working when I get done, or I'll set up like, let's say my regular work day, I get up, make coffee, and then sit down to work. And the first thing I do is plan out my work day. And I plan out what I want to get done before lunch and what I want to get done after lunch. Because at lunchtime is my little break in the middle of the day. I usually end up getting up at some point or the other when my dog wants to go for a walk because he's sort of my, I guess, alarm clock on that, so I don't sit for too long. But yeah, I'll just have a list of tasks, and I'm like, all right, when I get these done, it should be somewhere between 11 and 1, and I'll stop and eat lunch. And then, I've got the rest of the day to get these other tasks done. If I get done early, then I can work on some side project or something like that. So that's the way I do it. And I have a couple of side projects at work that I like to do. So hopefully that was helpful, guys. So coming up next week, we have an episode written by Will called Developer, You Played Yourself. Developers are supposed to be smart people. However, sometimes we do things that seem right in the moment only to have them blow up in our faces later. This is especially true when it comes to career decisions and office politics. Basically, any situation where you need to act in a way that protects your own personal power is ripe for disaster when you don't think before acting. In the episode coming out next week, we're going to talk about a few things that we've seen that indicate developers aren't really thinking things through well enough. These things are often result in developers messing themselves up while trying to do the right thing. So be on the lookout for that. Guys, we're going to hop off here and record another episode. Thank you guys for coming into live and asking some really great questions. We enjoy this. We like the questions we have, but we love it when we get to interact with y'all. So we will, one last reminder, we will not be on live next week because I will be taking my midterm. So we will not be live. We will be recording just later in the evening. So we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks and talk to y'all later.